violence, ignoring somebody's plea for help, and then hurting someone by not being honest and true.
Have you forgiven yourself?
For any of those three, no.
Grownish, smartish, British.
We are British, apparently.
All right. Have you flexed where you jumped on a train halfway and caught an Uber halfway to make yourself look good?
Absolutely. And I put my Arabic name in my Uber now, so I get picked up immediately. I didn't realize that. I was like, oh, Zarif. And they were like, Zarif? I'm like, yeah. They're like, come on, brother. Come in, my brother.
Extra service.
I'm like, oh, y'all don't normally do this when it just if it's my like.
Your government name?
Yeah. Well, I've changed it.
You changed your government
name? So technically my name, my first born name is Filio hyphen Zarif.
Okay.
And I just dropped the Filio because I was like.
So wait, I can't call you Filio anymore?
Oh, you can call me what you want. I told people you can call me what you want, but I just use Zarif. Kadir. Yeah. Yeah, you can call me, you can do whatever.
Are we running, by the way? Great.
Answer the question.
Yes. Excellent.
You know what you're doing.
So,
all right, so my camera is this to look into if I need to look at the camera. If I'm
we're running.
The audience.
It's watching you. But are you talking to the audience?
Sometimes you break
Talk
the fourth
to
wall.
me.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
I am so grateful to have you here.
I'm grateful to be here.
Do you know this is a third strike and you're going to be out? We're not going to talk about it.
Talk about that
because we had to inconvenience a few people in the studio.
That never happened.
So I'm unwell, but I'm here because this is my one window to have you.
What is it? Flu?
It can be whatever it is right now. You got to take it.
Yeah, I know. But like, can I catch it? Is it your cycle?
As long as I don't.
I can't catch that.
Is it what?
Huh?
My cycle?
Yeah.
No, if it's my cycle, it'll be something else. We soldier through.
All right. We'll see.
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
So we got Filio in the building, but that's no longer your name.
Nope.
What is your name?
So should I do it? Okay, so we start there then, since we're talking about life and growing up and all these things like that.
No, how are you going to try and run my conversation?
You tell me how this goes. I'm going to go ahead.
Know your lane, sir. Know your lane.
You right. I was on.
Basically, can you start the show? Growing up, say, guys, welcome to Growing Up British, but in the most British accent that you know.
In the most British accent? Oh, should I do posh or roadman?
Roadman, please, all day.
Was it Growing Up British? You get me, yeah?
We're done already.
This is, I can't do it. See, I can't do it on command. I can only do it when I'm mocking someone.
Mock me then.
No, but you're not a roadman. Like, I got to mock like Kojo or like, who else speaks like a roadman or tries
Kojo talks like a roadman.
When he talks to his friends.
Oh, to the mandem, yeah.
Yeah, to the mandem. Yeah. When people talk to they switch up. And I didn't know it was a switch up until I lived here. I was like, oh, that's not. Why are you talking like this?
Yeah, you got to know how to switch it up.
But then y'all slang
address your audience.
Is like so different from my slang. So I don't even know.
See, the thing is, we understand your slang because for most of the time, we're trying to be like you guys growing up. Now then the British culture became like a big thing.
It's getting fired.
Shout out to Skepta who changed it. Yeah.
We use some of your slang now.
I know.
We use, what do we say now?
What do you say?
I mix. My slang is weird. I use Atlanta, New Orleans, and LA slang because
plus British,
of how I grew up. Plus, because I'd say mandem sometimes.
Okay.
But we say my G, so I didn't know my G.
Yeah, we say my G.
You guys say but I don't know who made my G. I don't know if it was.
I'll let you guys have it.
It might be Chicago. It sounds like a Chicago thing.
Yeah.
Because you guys have a lot of Chicago and like your not drill. What's the other one? Grime. You got that. It's got a lot of. It's like a lot of 3 6 Mafia. Influence in there. I noticed. So I like that though. Yeah.
So I'm gonna assume you guys had more gangsters than us growing up. So we'll let you have a title. Yeah. You created my G.
Unfortunately, we did.
So
name. So
yes.
Was born. I have a very very long name.
Tell me all of it so I can Google it.
I never said my government name fully out, but I will tell you off camera. But I will tell you now. I have 9 names legally born, start to finish. And the name has a meaning. So my parents are like those like black hippie kind of parents, even though they was like selling dope and stuff.
We'll get onto that.
But they gave like so my mom was like, I want the biblical kind of name because my grandma and them were like, you can't just name your baby all these African names. She was like, they're not African. They're Hebrew and they're Arabic. And my grandma was like, what?
Bless her. What is that?
She was like, the Bible, Hebrew. It's got all through there. They're all biblical. And then my dad is one of those. He's not a Hebrew Israelite, but he's like something around there where he's very Star David's everywhere. You know what I mean? But he doesn't. I just remember this one time. I didn't really hang with my pops much, but I remember one time I seen him out and he was talking to me, and a Hasidic Jewish man walked past. And I'll never forget my pops. I didn't know he could speak Yiddish, basically. Okay. And he said something to the guy, because the guy was asking a question to another guy. He said something to him, and the guy was like, "What?" And then my dad was like, "Oh yeah, you know,
I'm one of y'all."
Something about the lost tribes and this and that. And the guy was like, "Oh yeah." And I didn't know some Hasidics or some other sets of Jewish people, they believe that as well.
Okay.
So they agreed with that. So he was like, "Oh, okay." And they shook hands and walked away. So it's between those two that I got it. But I'm named after some people that they also knew.
Okay.
So like Aman is one of my middle names.
Okay, nice.
And Sharif as well.
Okay.
And so there was two men that my mom and my father knew, Aman and one was Sharif. So I got their names.
That's nice.
So I got a lot of, so I was born filio hyphenated Zarif.
Okay.
But I took the filio off, especially after like taking Islam more serious, because you know I took Shahada.
Yep.
And then I started taking it way more serious. And so I was like, it was me praying, because I'm not a prayer. So I tried hard. It's hard, because if we'll talk about how I viewed God growing up and why.
Of course.
And so I was like praying, and then I have a problem with immediate results.
Okay, so like, you want immediate results.
Yeah, I have my therapist, I have a impulse problem, impulse control. So I have immediate, like I need to, and I get angry if I didn't. So like growing up, that didn't help.
So you need that. You need to practice patience, basically.
This is the most helpful thing I would say by far.
Yeah, because in Islam, it's overemphasized.
So much, like, and my child.
That's a massive test of your patience every damn day.
I'm like, well, I know, because I think, and part of me was like, I think this is the white part of you, because the black part of you should know better. I was like, but I know I didn't know better, so maybe it's the black part of you that doesn't know better.
Or maybe they're just kids, man.
That as well. Literally. Yeah. Because her mom is very out front facing patient person when not dealing with me or other people probably that annoy her at some points, which I'm very annoying, as you know.
I'm sure.
And so I just switched it to that, and it felt better. And you know what's funny? All of my Muslim friends that I was talking to about it, they were like, "Absolutely, bro, we support this, and what a powerful name." And I told them like what I wanted to do and why I wanted to do it. And Kadir, I picked Kadir because I had a friend of mine pass away. You ever hear me talk about this guy Spoon?
Listen, you're jumping ahead of all my conversations.
Go ahead. Anyway, Zarif. Z-A-R-I-F. Zed. Excuse me, I know where I'm at.
No, I say Z.
You say Z?
Yeah, my son did it.
ED at the end.
Well, we won't get to the politics of it, but my son's Americanized because of like TV and it.
Does he speak? Does he have an accent? American?
My son sounded Hispanic when he was born. Like when he was younger, like Dora Explorer hit him hard. Oh. It's like, "Mommy, I'd like some," and I'm just like, "Where's the accent from?" I'm like, "Baby, you know."
Mommy,
but yeah,
¿qué pasa? You're like,
literally,
no.
I think at some point he was saying C around the house, and I'm just like, okay.
I say C, but that's
Yeah, but you're a whole grown adult.
I think that's just me. Yeah.
You eyeing up the snacks?
No, yeah. I'm gonna wait. Go ahead.
All right. So we start each episode with a quote, right? You gave me a few. I picked out two. One I'm going to use later on.
Okay.
But this one here, I think it was Erykah Badu's one that I don't know what anybody has done. One. Do you remember it, or shall I read it out?
Yeah, read it out.
All right. So your quote was, "I don't know what anybody has done. I know that everybody has done something. Whatever you did, forgive yourself. Let it go. It's easier than you think. People do it all the time." Mm-hmm. Why did you choose that quote?
Because that's like, so for me, there's most people that know me as trying to be a decent person. I don't think there's good or bad people. I say that. I think everybody's trying. I think it's circumstantial, environmental, rearing, all that. Like you could literally come up in the perfect environment and still there could be something, right? And I think we're trying to use this linear moral compass or this line of morality when it really is very much fluctuating. Mm-hmm. And I truly believe, especially Westerners, we should not open our mouths about morality. I don't care how much you do. You live in a Western country, just by default, by daily activities, you're harming someone else.
Yeah.
And you know it.
And sometimes unnowingly. Because no one's allowed you to reflect and take accountability.
100%. But like, I mean, even little stuff like using up resources. Like we know enough to where
I messed up the environment.
Right. We know enough to where it's like, but you're trying. Some people are actively trying to do something better in some way to leave some positive mark on the world. So the way I look at it is anyone who hits you with a pile of like, you're wrong, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing this. Even if you have done some, I've done some wrong, I've done some bad, I've done quite a fair bit. But I look at them and I go, but you're pointing at me. And like my granddad and a lot of granddads used to say, you got 3 fingers pointing back at you. Yeah. Which is a sly way of saying like, you're not perfect. You've never been perfect. No one's perfect,
so just be mindful.
And if you've grown, now if you're at a point to where you've grown, you're doing more and more positive and you're doing your best not to harm anybody or harm the world, that's good for you. Yeah. But your job is not to then police and or attack someone else. It's to educate them.
That's it.
The only way people change is education through positivity.
No, I agree. And I think the forgiving yourself part is really important because I think we are our biggest critiques. So even people who are deflecting really bad energy, sometimes they're very harsh on themselves inside, which is why they do what they do. So I think forgiving yourself is a big thing because sometimes we don't feel like we're worthy enough for forgiveness over certain things.
That's where I am still at. Yeah. And that's where I've been for years, is the forgiving myself part, is trying to figure out, and it's talking to my therapist mostly. She's amazing. Trying to figure out, and that's her big thing with me, like you need to let go and forgive yourself. Yeah. You need to, because you're not going to not repeat mistakes. You're not going to not do any of the positive working, the building that we're doing, the work that we're doing, if you don't do that. You can't dwell back and be like, man, is there something I can like go back if, she was like, you do that a lot. Like, how can you go back and make someone we can't change not that. Hate you or not whatever. You can't. Yeah. You have to move forward and continue to grow and do better and hope that they also can do the same. And if they don't, they won't. But that's on their own thing. And people who meet you and continue to work with you and continue to do things with you have to see that you're committed to the positive change.
Do you ever feel like when now that you've grown into like a better version, obviously you're still a working version of yourself, do you ever feel like you're a fraud when like you're putting out like the good energy, but you're like, right, is this for sure really who I am?
For sure. Because that's why, and you know what's funny? That's why I don't post a lot on social media. Because all I really ever do want to do is post positive stuff or something to make people laugh. And then I've had Instagram since 2010. Okay. And I got maybe 300 posts. Yeah. And I have friends who've had it from like 2015 and they got thousands of, and it's not, I write and I be in my head, I be all artsy and stuff, but it is a lot of like, oh, I want to post this nice positive thing. And if you even look back on my Instagram, it's a lot of, the quotes aren't positive, they are depressing. And because that's where I was. If you read if you read the headspace I was in, because I went back, I was like, let me go back and read, like, because a friend of mine, she told me, she's like, I went back and read like a lot of your quotes, because you would always post a quote with a picture. And she was like, they're all about death and dying and sadness. And she's like, there's nothing like happy about it.
You didn't seem quite optimistic.
Right. She was like, but the pictures are so beautiful, people ignore that. She said. True. And I was like, well, that was only literally people. My point. Yeah. It's like a silent cry for help, I guess, in a way. Interesting. But yeah, I feel like that. Sometimes I'm like, should I post? Like I just posted something the other day or yesterday about my commitment to change in Islam and things like that. And I was like, but then I was like, did I do that for some recognition? So I turned the comments off so I couldn't get any comments about it. But did I do it for recognition or did I do it because I legitimately felt that, or what? I
think also sometimes when you put things out there, you're holding yourself accountable. So if you're now declaring what you want to be or what your intention is or your journey, it's almost like you're telling people like, this is it. So if I'm not doing that, then I'm letting myself down. It's like me when I say I'm about to lose weight, guys, and I'm not keeping it a secret, because if I keep it a secret, it's because I know I want to cheat on my diet. Right. But if I put it out there, then I now have to prove my point.
I did that with the drinking.
Yeah,
it's a real bad drinking problem.
Yeah. So you posted recently how many like months and years you've been.
Yeah. So I had a drug problem. Yeah. And I had a bad drinking problem. The drinking was not as bad as the drugs, because the drinking costs more than the drugs. Was free for a while. I did my friend's podcast in New York, and we talked about how free. Can I say cocaine? I mean, cocaine was for comics and people, like white powdery substance. And that was a problem. But the drinking, I didn't see a problem with it. I didn't realize until I couldn't have it for like a little bit that I was like, oh,
I'm actually dependent.
This is I was like, how could I be addicted? Drinking every day. Well, you're addicted, but you're drinking every day. So you realize. So I put that out, and now I'm like, okay, people who would offer me drinks stopped. I did somebody's show a bit ago, and the promoters, I'm friends with the promoters, lovely dude, and he was like, first of all, he addressed me right away. Zarif, you're not drinking, right? You want some water, some juice? And I was like, damn, like I just walked in. I was like, bro, that's who good. I need to be around.
Set the bar. Nice.
That's who I need to be around. People like that. And to me, I see this guy every blue moon. But the fact that he was immediately willing to, as opposed to people I've known for my life, who like, hey, man, when I see you, man, we're going to go get a drink. Did you not just...
Yeah. Some people are like, oh, don't worry, man. It's just one drink.
Yeah. They don't understand, like, it's like...
the struggle's real.
What addiction is.
Yeah. Anyway. Or they might be in the same boat, but they haven't recognized it themselves.
That's usually the people who are offering.
Yeah.
I go...
They want you to jump in
I
on
was
a
like,
motive.
The story I always tell, I go, a friend of mine saw me passed out in New York, drunken and high, next to a homeless person, like, just outside of a bar, passed out on the ground. And he woke me up and was like, let's take you home. Like, this is not. And then he would be on my butt like nonstop until I moved away. So much so that he knows I stopped trying to hang out with him because he was trying to help me and I didn't want help. Yeah. Right. So
I think you have to be ready for help. Because people can throw they can give you so much energy. And if you're not prepared, you'll be like, yeah. I'm looking to do it, but then you just swear, and you'll avoid that person because you don't want to.
I avoided him, and the guilt. I avoided him for like a year, and we had projects to work on. But I was like, nah,
be right back.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll call you later.
It's all good, man. Yeah. Your growth is here, so that's what matters.
True that.
My quote was, "Be a better you for yourself," and I think that's kind of where you're at as well.
Yeah.
I think we spend a lot of time waiting for people and reasons to be better in anything, whether it's career, whether it's parenthood or whatever. That once I become a parent, then I'll stop doing this, or so it's like sometimes you just need to want this for yourself because you deserve better. And I watch people and I'm just like, bro, like, want better for yourself just because you're on this earth once and you deserve to have a best opportunity. And by you just living very nonchalant within like limited space and you're not actually allowing yourself to have maximum capacity to grow, it's like you're only hurting yourself. But people seem to think, well, if I'm not hurting no one, then I'm okay. But actually deep down inside, you're not okay.
Which is true, because the child thing, it didn't change. The only thing it changed was my level of I gotta make sure that I save money and put money into the kid so that she can have a better this. And I didn't even think about being a better person so she could not be raised the way I was raised until I had we could talk about it later, but I had an incident with my mom and my pops when I went to visit home. And I was like, because my therapist had told me, I mean, I don't know if you want to get what you want to get into now, but
no, that's cool. Go
my therapist told me years ago, she was like, you have to stop talking to your parents. Cold. She said she's a black lady from Atlanta too.
I was gonna say, is she white?
No, she's a black woman from Atlanta. She was like, I know.
Yeah, it's hard.
Minority hard to not. She said you have to, and she said not distance. She said I've been working with you for years. Not distance, not this. She said certain other family members too. You have to remove yourself completely. Let them know they need to do the work. You do your work, and then when you're ready, it could be years. You can reapproach that relationship. She was like, but you will not progress past where you are if you continue to go and put yourself back in that same mindset, in that same environment. And so we had an incident because I don't hit my child.
You say what?
I don't hit.
You don't hit.
I don't hit. I don't spank. I try my best not to raise my voice. I do a stern voice with the gritting of the teeth, like get off the couch. But I don't want to scream because she's 3. She doesn't understand.
Can I ask, when you do that, does she freak out?
She tightens up.
Because my son's 8, and when I go, he's just like, he literally wants to cry.
Yeah, she does.
Like a demon comes out of me like this, sir.
She does. She's like, because I'm like, listen to me. Because it's never something that she's doing that's annoying. It's something that she's doing that's dangerous.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you are not an acrobat.
Yeah.
You cannot do this.
Yeah.
I can teach, we can go to the jumpy play thing and we'd flip all day.
Release your energy there.
Yeah, but on the couch, you're going to hurt yourself. And so I do that. And I notice, I go, in my head, if I'm being honest, this is the time that had I continued to be in the environment and the mind space and everything else that I had been, I would have popped her.
Yeah.
I would have popped, no problem would have popped her.
Yeah.
And even before having a kid, talking to her mom a lot and talking to other people, like, man, if my kid did that, I'd bow, hit.
Literally.
Saying like, you know, what kind of beating. And it was always because that's what happened to me.
Precisely.
And then I go, but look how I ended up. Like for a period of time.
Yeah.
The beatings did not help. If anything, it was more anger and resentment because I didn't do anything malicious yet.
You were just being a kid at that point.
I was being a kid and young man. And so I very thoroughly explained that to my mom. Like, yo, we don't hit. We're not hitting.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
You can babysit, you can do whatever. We're going to go out.
But you don't put your hands down.
Don't spank her. She will not understand why she's being spanked. She did it twice. And I was like, the only time I've ever raised my voice at my mom, there's been 2 times before that. The first time I was a kid and I screamed at her because she promised something and she didn't do it. And then she kind of felt bad for that. And the only other time is when I moved out and I was like 16 and a half. And this is the religion thing where my mother practices faith called E12. It's a West African, Nigerian faith, even though we're not Nigerian. I did the whole DNA. I am Congolese.
I don't know why I'm laughing.
Senegalese, Angolan, Mali, Cote d'Ivoire.
Well, Sierra Leone as well.
Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
And some white from slavery. And I was just like, that's not even our thing. We're not Ghanaian, we're not Nigerian, not at all. And it happens here. It doesn't happen in America, but African women, older women will see me like, where are you from?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm from America. Where are your people from? Like,
yeah.
They'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
You're that generation.
Yeah, they'd be like, because you have this nose and then this head and these lips. It's not this. Yeah. I love it though. But,
I've had people look at other people and be able to try and identify where they're originally from.
You're mixed black.
Yeah.
but so she practiced, and a lot of that has a lot of animal sacrifice.
Okay.
And rituals and things, which I was too young to be seeing animal sacrifice. 5 for helping kill animals in the city. I'm from the city. If I was a farm boy, I might be used to cutting a chicken's head off.
Yeah. That's a setup.
But I got to go to public school. You know what I mean? This is not, and that actually is why I grew up hating God, because my association with God was killing animals, and I loved animals.
Yeah.
And trying to explain that as a child to your mom, and then getting smacked for talking back. And it's like, lady, I just don't want to cut a goat's throat.
Yeah.
And then that continued for a number of years, and then just progressed. And the other part was, I noticed she was doing all this sacrifice and doing all these things with all these people. They were all doing this whole group of thing. And I'm not downing their faith. That's their faith. That's their faith.
That's what they do.
But there was never any actual result. In fact, things were getting worse. Homeless. We were homeless. We didn't have this. We didn't have that. We lost everything. Had no money. Couldn't do this. Couldn't go here. Couldn't eat. Couldn't do this. And I'm like, but what? So why do we keep spending money on animals to kill? For years. And so it's
her belief, I guess.
It's her belief. And then I go, okay, I got to an age and she was like, I need you to come do this. And I was already kind of with my boy. We was selling drugs in a gang, whatever. And we were going to get an apartment. And she was just like, you can't move out. And I was like, I'm grown in my head. I'm moving out.
Yeah.
Screamed. I punched a hole in the wall and I left. And I think that messed up. Originally, that's probably what messed up the relationship with my direct little brother. Is because I just left him as well.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he didn't have a dad, didn't have a male figure, and I was that.
Yeah.
But I'm 15, so 16, how do I know?
Unfortunately, you won't know unless you're some woke child or some crazy wisdom.
And I was not.
Yeah.
No matter how much Malcolm X I read in Nation of Islam meetings I went to, I was not. And so we had that falling out, and then that was it. And I was like, I had to tell her like, yo, like, no.
Yeah.
Because it's not even just me. You do realize she has another parent.
Yeah.
Who's not down with this either. And you are not the parent of this child.
No.
You know what I mean? So
I grew up on discipline. We literally I've released an episode just about this, and I spoke about how I thought I'd be giving my child beatings left, right and centre. Like, I was looking forward to it. I'm like, I can't wait till I become a parent. It's about to go down.
Practicing with the belt.
Yeah, but then afterwards I realised, there's another way. And where we had like anger built up inside you every time you got licks, that's how I felt. And I'm just like, I don't want my child to be angry at me. I want him to fear me in a sense of, you don't want to disappoint me, and the respect element.
Yeah.
And that's what we worked out.
Yeah.
And I like to remove his happiness with one look. Like if he's acting stupid, rather than come and beat him, I'll give him one look and he freaks out, and that's enough for me. Do you know what I mean? Like working on that stare, deadly stare, that was enough for me to let me know that I can change that narrative from what my parents inherited. But then my parents now are an age where they don't even understand that they used to hit us. Like it's such a distant memory of how they've grown.
Oh, for sure.
That they wouldn't even think about hitting my son. And it's just like, I like this. But like, why can we not get the licks?
For real.
Why did we have to suffer?
I think in time, what happens is, like with your parents, what happens is people continue to leave their bubble and explore and grow and see other things. And I don't know what your parents' experiences were, but my mom didn't have that particular lesson. She had other lessons, but a lot of lessons like the not keeping a job and then not doing crime and then not whatever. She never got those lessons. She continues to do those. And so I was like, I also had to make the decision to be like, I can't have my kid around you and you teaching her the things that you taught me, even by proxy.
Yeah.
I said, because she's going to look up to you, grandma. And you lady, you black, so like her, she's going to look up to you.
By default. Kids put parents and grandparents on a pedestal.
I put my uncles up there and all these people who was criminals. All the people around, all the men. There was two types of men in my life. There was righteous men and there was criminals. And the criminals seemed to always have what I wanted, the life I wanted. And I didn't see the other side of their life because I never saw the inside of a jail or prison. Or
you saw the glamorous part.
Right. Like I've been shot, but I've never died. You know what I mean? And I've seen my friends die or whatever and so on and so forth. But she, we haven't talked in it's almost been like 2 years. But the sadness I thought I'd feel is not there. It's more, every time I talk to my therapist or aunt or cousin, I'm working through these problems, and it isn't that I don't miss my mom or that I don't love my mom or something like that. It's just I understand the growth that needs to happen, and I'm hoping that she's doing the same, right? And then we come back and connect.
Do you think she'll ever have that growth if her environment is pretty much aiding what she's doing?
I don't know. I don't know if my departure did positively impact that or negatively. I'm not sure.
Because I think you had an opportunity to step away from your home into a new environment. You did your own strippiness, thinking you're a big man, age 16, with your boys shotting weeds or whatever it is you're doing. But then you also got to explore the world. So I feel like maybe you're more
I did. I got to. It was, so this is the thing with the name as well. So my friend Spoon is the one I talk about in my comedy sometimes. He passed away, but he was actually born to a Muslim family. His father was Nation of Islam, and his mother was not. But his father left the Nation of Islam, but still had friends in it. And his mom was Muslim, but she was not Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
And just two black, his mom was from, I want to say Sudan.
My people.
Yeah, I want to say she was Sudanese. I don't remember. But she passed away when we were young. And then obviously we were running the streets doing our thing. And he was like a pro. So I'm just kind of following him. And he's always like, man, no, this is not for you. Like, stay same age, but he's like, you know what? Don't come out tonight, bro. Like,
he can tell you the rookie levels.
You don't have a heart for it. You just got finished spray painting a skateboard. And now you want to come with us to sell crack. Like, man, go wash your hands first, man, or something. Then he'd leave me.
No, I respect that.
Yeah, he didn't. And then later he'd be like, come on, man, because you're actually really smart. You like help me.
We need you now.
Yeah. But his birth name was Kadir.
Okay.
And so every time the first young person to look out for me at that age was him. And I was the only person that would call him Kadir. Nobody would call him Kadir. I was calling him Kadir. And he when he passed away, it was tough. I never knew how to honor him because he legitimately saved my life twice. And I never knew how to honor him until later it came to me in prayer, I believe. And that I was just like, oh, that's the name. Take his name as well, because that's an important thing. And we would go, he took me to the mall one day, and the mall was right near a Nation of Islam mosque. And I'm not Nation, but I get Malcolm X, and I listen sometimes to half of what Farrakhan says. No offense.
I mean, some of his speech is solid.
Some.
Some. But I've listened to it, and I'm like, hey.
I'm like, okay. And
then it goes, ooh.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, it's the same way I feel with Umar. I'd be like, right.
This is why I need to turn you off.
Right. But that's just that part is not for me.
Yeah. No, I respect that.
And so I just remember with Islam, how I really got into it was this man used to live with my mother and I. She was always let people live with us. And this guy, his name was Musa, black Muslim, just black American man, Muslim. His name was Musa. And he was the sweetest, the nicest, most, like every time there'll be like a fight or something, or somebody's about to do something, he'd just come out and talk. And people would be like, oh, they would just chill out.
Yeah, because his energy was calm.
Because he was just like, what are we doing, brothers? And it wasn't like preachy, it wasn't this. And he would just be like, you'd be like, damn, people are like, all right, Musa, man, put my gun up, man. I was going to kill him, but
just for you.
You came out, bro. I ain't going to do it in front of you. And that was that. And there was a brother, I don't know his name, but he was security. He was Fruit of Islam security. And when I went in to see Farrakhan speak, I was like, oh, Farrakhan, I'm going to go see him. I'm 17, I'm going to go. He was like, I got to search you. He searched me, found a gun. I'm thinking he going to call the police. He was like, look, I'm going to hold on to this. I'm going to put it in this bag, put it over here. When you're done listening to the minister, if you still want this gun when you come out, I give it to you. It's yours. I go in, listen to the minister talk. I'm watching all the people. I'm like, man, I never felt nothing like this. It's powerful.
Yeah.
Everybody here is trying to do the right thing, front facing at least.
Yeah.
I leave. I didn't even think to ask him
for the gun.
I was so mesmerized. I mean, I had to go pay that back.
I mean, let's leave it out. He just managed to finesse you.
He did, but he was like, but when I later, I was like, yo, Spoon, I ain't got mine. He was like, man, they always do that shit. I was like, all right. And so, but every time after that, it was always like I had a high school teacher. I had every single.
So there's constant reminders.
But they were Muslim men and women. And it will always be, when I sat back and thought about it and went over it with my therapist, she'd tell me everybody positive who had a direct impact. Every single person, I'm not even over-exaggerating, every single person was Muslim.
Interesting.
Every single person. And she was just like, yeah. She was like, maybe that's something you could look into, because she said, she's religious, she's Christian, but she was like, you seem to be searching for something. You seem to be filling this void with women and not even them, just their body. Drugs, booze, violence. She was like, you quite a violent young man. I was like, yeah. She was like, just all types of stuff. And it's making you, it's hurt. You hurt. She's like, you're sensitive.
Yeah, you're a hurt person.
Because I am sensitive. She was like, you're sensitive, you're tender. I was like, oh, I'm a man.
What are you talking about?
I'm a thug. First of all, lady, you ever see my crip walk? I'm a thug. She was like, no, you are a sense. She said, you never progressed past what, like 6? She was like, you were a little boy. You just need some hugs. Yeah. And then she pinpointed it to...
Every thug needs a hug.
Every thug needs a hug. She pinpointed it to my grandmother's passing when I was like 8. Grandma was I lived with her basically. And then my grandma was my rock, and nobody explained to me what that meant. Like I had seen death, and I'd seen people get shot up in it, but I didn't understand the finality of it until... I couldn't go back to grandma's house. And I was like, I don't understand why I can't go. And then my favorite cousin, then my other cousin. And I'm like, I don't understand. And no one's...
It's getting realer and realer.
And now I'm 13 at this point, and everybody's gone. And I still don't comprehend it, but I didn't cry.
You didn't allow yourself to process the grief?
Because I was told, be a man, don't cry.
Yeah.
And I apply that everywhere. And so I'm like, damn. And my therapist, I remember she asked me, when was the last time you cried because you were hurt? And something hurt you. I was like, probably like 7. And she was like, I just remember her
Not even slightly eye sweating?
Nope. I would hold it in. I had the emotion. Please believe I cry all the time now.
How else did it show then? If it weren't crying, how did it show?
Through anger, through hurting people. Like literally through manipulation, through hurting, through trying to drown it with drugs and this or whatever, hurting women. Like it showed through... Would you say it was your ego telling you not to cry, or was it that you were that wired from young? Both. Okay. Both. Partially, I knew crying was okay at a point, but then also the ego was like, you a player, you can't be crying. You know what I'm saying? Crying, bro. What you crying, bro? Just hit some weed, bro. Smoke, you be good. And then and then that turned into manifesting and just burning. Have you cried since? Scorched. Oh yeah, I cry all the time now. You unlocked that tap completely. I'm like, oh my God. Like if my daughter see me cry I think she see me cry so many times. She'd be like, you okay there? Oh no, I'm just proud of you. You just did this. Like, let me give you a hug there. Yeah, hugging and movies. And I saw some kids playing together. I'm not even joking. Like I was on the bus and I was having a bad day and I saw like some multicultural youth playing together, and I was like, this is deep. The world is beautiful. I was like, what is that? Why am I doing?
That's good though.
But yeah, it's good.
You're keeping it 100, and that's how you should be.
You gotta let it out, man. Anybody who's like, I won't cry, I'm like, I don't want to be around you, player.
But yeah, because you're not allowing yourself, and you're not happy.
Something gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't want to be there.
Yeah, because I was the person that was doing stuff with. Now I don't want to.
So you spoke about, obviously you lost a lot of people by the age of 13. Do you feel like your childhood was pretty much snatched off you? Because obviously you at 16 started, or at least from 16 started doing drugs, selling drugs.
Mm-hmm. I started at 14. So
when did you actually get to have a childhood? And how has that reflected on you now with your daughter?
I think my childhood was, I'm still a big kid. Anybody that hangs out with me is like, oh, like I literally invited a bunch of guys to a snowball fight and they were like, I'm 29. And I was like,
what's the point?
It was Kazim. You know Kazim?
Yeah.
Tried to play me out. I was like, bro, y'all want to do a snowball fight? And they were like, oh, I'm grown. All the guys were like, well, I was like, well, okay, I'll play snowball fight, whatever.
Did you find some kids outside? Like, yo.
Absolutely. I beat these kids with these balls, these snowballs.
I don't call it child abuse, but whatever.
It's fine. They were teenage. But it's Somali boys that hang around my neighborhood all the time. They're nice boys. They like me. They were in the road one day on the street, and I was like, yo, could you move? It's called sidewalk, not side stand. And their friends was like, oh, my days, bruv.
He's American.
He said side stand, bruv. Oh, American, bruv. Played you, bruv. Oh, my days, bruv.
You gonna take that, fam?
You gonna take that, fam, from him, man. American, man. Be careful. This Donnie might have a gun, man. But yeah, I think when I was a child, I think my childhood probably stopped when my grandma died, because I had to be a man then, because my mom didn't have child care for me and my brother anymore and anybody. So I was just like basically working, you know what I mean? Doing this, doing that, doing this. I wasn't really like playing around with my friends as much anymore. And there was these boys. So I got a couple of homies that will watch this and be like, oh, I know who you're talking about. Because there was these guys that lived next door to us, and they were heinous drug dealers. They used to sell Bobby Brown his drugs. That's how big they were. And
clientele is real.
Clientele. And every time the police would come, they had built these spaces in the walls and the floorboards to hide.
Yeah.
So I would play Nintendo with them or whatever, and I was cool with them, and they was like, oh, you cool, you know, whatever. But there was one young man who they used to pick on a lot. He told on them, basically. And
he snitched.
Yeah, he snitched on them real bad. And I just remember my friends who moved in the house after they moved out. I told them, I was like, you know, you can go in the walls, right? They was like, what? And I showed them. They was like, what? It was crazy. But yeah, those are my homies now, Emmanuel and his brothers and stuff. And
that's it.
But yeah, they that was like the last like childhoody
memory.
And we would talk about comics and play games and stuff. But even then, it was like on some older boy, like the neighborhood, we couldn't be like giggling at that age.
Yeah.
So we used to like, Spider-Man's cool, bro. But, you know what I'm saying? I mess with Thor, really. You know, it was like trying to be tough at that time. And yeah, I think the last time I got in a fight, it was a day I got in a fight with this boy, and I purposely missed the hit because I knew I could beat him up, and I just didn't want to beat him up.
Yeah, you weren't ready to beat that guy.
And then he tried to hit me, and I ended up beating him up. But I was like, even that day, I was like, this is it. Because my mom was like, go out there and fight him. You ain't no punk. He came to your yard to fight you, like literally your front yard. And the whole neighborhood was like, what you gonna do?
Would you inherit that same mindset with your mom? No, if you were to see your daughter in God forbid, in that situation, or if you have a son.
I'm going to put her in judo, jiu-jitsu, so she can defend herself as a young woman, just in general for the world. But if somebody's trying to fight her, walk away.
Yeah.
Your father walked away. Somebody spit on me, I walked away.
Yeah.
Your father, now, this is
so it doesn't apply to whether she's a girl or a guy. Same.
It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Like somebody disrespects you to the utmost degree, the worst thing you can do to them is tell them to have a wonderful day and walk away. And I know
kill them with kindness.
I know that from fact from doing it. A guy called me a nigger as I'm pumping gas because he came in the wrong way and whatever. And I was like, you know what, man, I don't know what happened to you. But whatever it is, it blinded you to the fact that I could set you on fire. I'm bigger than you. I got a car full of other guys bigger than you. You're having a bad time. And you thought that was supposed to do whatever. I said, look, man, hey, hope you have a better day, man.
I'm going to let it slide.
So I'm sure he, like, in his head, in his world, he was like, you're not going to believe what happened. Apparently they don't care. And it's like a whole thing. But my boys was like, man, why we didn't? I was like, because that's what he wanted.
Yeah, that's the mindset you have to have. Because like you've given them no ammo whatsoever. Nothing. And I said like people who are angry and pent up, like just kill them with kindness, man.
And
there's nothing more frustrating.
It also didn't hurt I learned the last lesson I learned when I was young. I was told, my granddad told me, if the worst thing that happened to you in your day is that somebody calls you the N-word, then you're having a pretty good day. And that's like I'm like, damn. Like as a man, I'm like, wow, what he had to go through.
Yeah.
And then so I carried that with me. Because
for some people, that is a point where you will hit someone.
That's it. Oh, I mean,
so catching
there's
cases.
people now I know, like my friends that I'm friends with, I'm like, I don't just let people say that around me just in general, like homies, but not like white kids or whatever they think they could just say.
Listen, there's different rules. It's a very dangerous place.
Yeah, but I just be like, bro, just like if you're not black or like blackish close to it, don't do that. And then I have a homie who's just like, he beat somebody up in the subway. And I'm like, bro, you're going to go to jail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is
There's no proof to, just like let him like be like, all right, man, blow him a kiss and walk away. He'll never forget. Like this guy blew me a kiss. What? It's driving him crazy for the rest of his life.
Yeah, it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
So you're a comedian. So for those, I actually didn't give you a proper intro, by the way.
That's fine.
So what else are you besides a comedian? You're a father. You're a comedian.
Father, comedian. You know what's the thing about comedy with me? It was never. I never wanted Kevin Hart's career. Dave Chappelle. That seems like a nightmare.
Yeah.
You can't you know what I like? I like to go to the store and nobody bother me.
Yeah.
There's no way Kevin Hart will ever be able to do that outside of like maybe he could go to Thailand.
So you want to be successful but not successful.
So you could be successful like that. I always tell people, look at people who write your TV shows and produce them in the movies and stuff. How many of them can you name?
That's true.
That aren't like Jordan Peele.
So like them, and famous. Also even like ghostwriters and stuff.
Yeah, tons. And so that's what I do. I write. I do a lot of writing for people and a lot of things. And she's like, well, do you make money off stand-up? No, because there's not really a lot of money in that.
Yeah. You either make it and break it, or you
get to a degree. So I use my ability to write to showcase my writing. Stand-up was to show that I could write. In performance, whatever, but I could write and I could maybe direct. Yeah. And so it got me to the position I want to be in. So more so I would say I'm a writer who enjoys comedy and enjoys stand-up from time to time.
I know you only through comedy.
Right, but that's the thing, because I'm never, there are people like, oh, you don't post, you don't do this, I'm like, I don't really care.
Because that's not really your main element.
I'm not trying to, no.
Would you say, because obviously you mentioned you have a therapist who's been your therapist for a hot minute.
She's been officially now 6 years, 5-6 years.
Would you like to refer her to people? Because obviously she's helped you now. No, you don't have to.
No, I would. No, you know what? Yeah, actually, I could. I mean, I'll give her information out. I got to get it at the end, but
that's cool. But no, the reason I'm asking is, would you deem like your comedy, because your comedy overlaps with your life, and it's a lot of real stories. You speak about Clock and Spoon and all these other people.
Clocky.
Yeah. So like you refer to your real people, right? It's not made up stories. Yeah. You maybe exaggerate, I don't know. But do you see your comedy as a form of therapy as well?
I did. That's the only way I was letting stuff out. And my therapist was like, yeah, this is not therapy. Stop. And really? pro comics, like big ones, are like, it's therapy in the way that you are getting like the attention,
satisfaction,
or the satisfaction, but it's not therapy, because once it's gone, and every comic who's worth a damn can tell you, you drop.
Cause I was gonna say, the one thing I've noticed is like a lot of comedians aren't happy. Like they make the world laugh, but then when the lights turn off and everyone's gone,
and a lot. But when you drop, it's a drug. It's just endorphin. It's just a hit. You're like, oh my God, they love me. They're laughing. People shaking your hand, telling you they love you, telling you you made them happy, taking pictures of you, whatever. And then you go out and you get on the subway and nobody talks to you. Nobody knows you. Nobody cares. You go home, you still pay your bills, you do everything, and you're waiting for that next hit.
Is it also like escapism from your reality?
Yeah. And so I'm always like, you have to find, I always tell young comics especially, you need to find something else to do.
Yeah.
You need to live your life. You need this whole like, I don't have no job, comedy's my only job. It's a terrible mindset, because that was cool in the 80s with Eddie Murphy and those people, and they made it. But you live in a world now, things are very different. You need to be working, living, school, something to, first of all, you ain't got no material.
You need to plan A's and B's and right. That's so true. You're right.
You ain't living, so what are you talking about?
True.
You ain't talking about nothing.
That's true.
And then it's not therapy. If you are sad and if you are depressed or hurt in any way or something, if you have a memory that comes in and you try to like get it out of your head quickly and do something else, you need to go to therapy.
Yeah, but I think it's just not normalized, especially amongst men, even though the narrative is now overly stressed. And it's interesting, I did a piece about male mental health and because of suicide. And there's a lot of guys who message me and go, yeah, that was a waste of time, because one guy said anyone that commits suicide is a coward, and because they weren't man enough. And I'm just like, this is the problem. You are the problem, because you're telling other men, you're a man saying to men, if you speak to another woman, then you're not, or even any other person, it shows you're not strong.
Right, swallow it down.
Yeah, but then I said, but then how do you deal with it otherwise? So I think to speak to a therapist is also like a big, in his eyes, another L. And it's just like, how do we really change that narrative? If you're like, let's just say you're someone who's going, I'm down with therapy, and then you tell your boy and he's just like, nah, that's weak, man. Just be a man. Old school days, our dad did it, and then it's like, yeah, but your dad probably drank himself through it, or he probably avoided home, or he probably beat up your mum, or like we deflect as human beings, we deflect. But it's such a shame when people can't go, do you know what, I think I need therapy. I
give examples of my own personal stuff. I never put it on them, and I don't try to give them examples of it in their life, because they'll always try to rationalize a way out of their own justify. I tell them stuff that I've done and as a result of therapy that I won't do anymore. Stuff that I've worked through, things that have happened to me that I don't talk about with people and stuff. Like my therapist told me I had sex, the first time I had sex, I was 13. Okay. And then the girl was 16. And then the next time I had sex, I was like 15 years old, and the woman was 30.
God damn.
And I thought I was a player. My boys was high-fiving me. My therapist was like, baby, you got molested. You were abused. That's abuse. And I never saw it like that.
Because young boys had a thing for older women.
Man, just the fact that I was like the king of, my friends would buy me things because I was so cool to them. And that's and so I would say, but now talking about it and how I felt in the moment and after, I was not happy. I was scared. I was terrified. I didn't feel good. I threw up in the bathroom. Oh, wow. And I told my boy that, and I was like, that's why I need therapy. That's not okay. And he was like, yeah, I can kind of see that. I said, imagine your 15-year-old son having sex with a 30-year-old woman. Yeah. How you going to feel? Or your 15-year-old daughter having sex with 30, how you going to, you know that's not okay.
But that's the thing, it sounds more crueler when a guy does it with an older woman.
That's the problem.
And then the other way around, it's like, hold up, R. Kelly, what's going on here? Do you know what I mean?
You see the posts on Instagram, some ladies sleep with their students. Where were these teachers when I was all the men?
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, me too, or like whatever. Or they gas them up.
Yeah, where was I wish I had this teacher who's a snitch. Like and I'm like, do you understand? Like that's a problem. Yeah. And so with me, I don't. If somebody is like, oh, you're not a man because you go to therapy, I'm like, that's cute, baby. Like, I guess you can have that opinion, but I'm going to keep doing it because I know what it's done for me. And I can see that you possibly need that help. I'm not a therapist. I can't psychoanalyze anybody.
Yeah, you can't tell me for a fact. But I think everyone needs therapy to an extent, whatever it is.
Half the time people are like, oh, this person's a sociopath or this or crazy or that. And I'm like, you don't know. You're not a therapist. And if you are a therapist and you're labeling publicly someone something like that, you're not a good therapist. Yeah. You don't know what actually goes into determining these things. You just read a list online and you applied that, which is crazy in itself.
But everyone's at fault of that because social media is so overly saturated with facts.
Facts. A lot that no one checks. Nobody ever checks. Nobody goes, what is this information actually from? It just sounds like what fits your narrative.
It sounds matter of fact. Yeah. So we're going to run with it.
Yeah, that's true.
So obviously you've come to the UK. Mm-hmm. You were in Atlanta before. Have you lived in Europe before as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was born and raised in Atlanta. Got family in NOLA and Chicago and all these places. And I had traveled as a young man overseas a couple times, like as a kid. And then ended up never even thinking about it. And then I went to Germany when I was like 19. A friend of mine was like, yo, bro, you should go to Germany. When he was a German guy that I knew. He was like, you should come to Germany, man. I was like, all right.
Why not?
What? I was like, all right. And took me over and I was like, this is just white, bro. More whiteness. I don't understand. But I had a good day. It was cool. I was 19, so I could drink.
But it was a different kind of white?
It was a not racist to my face white, which I appreciated.
Polite racism.
But it was, you know what it is? It was a fetish racism.
Okay.
The women especially only reason they wanted to sleep with me, but because I was a black person, a man from America. And that's a huge thing.
You had the accent and the skin tone.
Oh my God. And then I didn't think about it. And then I got older and I traveled more different countries and I kept experiencing that. And I was like, and it started to bother me so much that I became angry. No therapy at this point. I became angry. And I started to use that to my advantage of being like, oh, well, this lady is just a white lady from Sweden or whatever. And she's just wants to have sex with me because I'm black. And she's using all these like terms. She's saying all these things that are racist, but she doesn't understand they're racist. Or she knows they're racist, but it's what it's like, but she's not racist because she wants to have sex with me. So how could she be racist? And I was like, I wonder if she'll pay for things for me, even though I had money. And so I was like,
you started flipping the script.
This dick ain't free. Yeah. And I started, but then it became manipulation and scamming. Like not even essentially, that's just what it became.
Did you even notice that you had that kind of in your nature?
Not until, well, yeah, because my mom and dad was scammers and did all that type of stuff. So I knew that's how I knew how to do it. My mother had all our bills paid and never slept with half of these dudes at all and things like that. My father, just in general, we don't talk, but he was a polygamist and had all these women living with him and doing all these things, but he never supported, never did anything, never. And I knew I wasn't going to talk to him when I was 16, and he had a 16-year-old woman.
Okay.
And I said, oh, okay. This is where we're going.
Yeah.
We're good. You don't get to meet my
So
kid.
You started basically abusing your position with these women?
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I didn't see a problem with it because the people I was around was like, well, they white. And they look what they doing. And then I adopted that mindset. When it doesn't really, even if that's the case, then you just don't involve yourself with that type of person. Yeah. You know, you don't use them. And I can say drugs, I can say drinking, I can say whatever, but you still don't do it. Like there was times where I just didn't think about it, but then there was also times where I knew, just like with anything else, selling drugs, anything, this is wrong. Yeah. I can rationalize it any way I want to rationalize it.
It's admitting it's wrong first and foremost.
Wrong. Yeah. Right, yeah. So it is what it is.
But I guess for you, the novelty wore out. So initially when women were all over you when you first went to Europe, you're this is exciting. Yeah, I got this.
I was like, I don't have to do anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Then that kind of took a turn where you decided to just finesse him.
Yeah, because I was feeling used and like tossed aside, and I was like, and you know what never dawned on me? Oh, this is what girls feel like. This is what women feel like.
Yeah, to an extent.
It never dawned on me and honestly, I didn't come to that. My therapist was like, hello. I was like, you right.
Yeah. Right. Literally, welcome to the woman's world.
To the world,
the reality. But the thing is, it's interesting that you mentioned that women fetishize over you or over your race. I've actually experienced it where when a guy does it to himself, where he's like, yeah, I'm black, I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, oh, boo, that don't excite me. And like they overemphasize like what makes them more superior, like sexually when it comes to, and I'm just like, yeah, that doesn't excite me. Like I'm not a Karen who's gonna be like, oh my God, I want this. I'm like, ew. Like,
the red flag,
wrong audience, mate, wrong audience.
The red flag always for young minorities, any male or female, if somebody is white or whatever, and they say, I don't fuck with white people, or I don't date white people, I don't have sex. No matter if they're trying to be urban or hippie or whatever, if they start to speak a little different and do like kind of black or brown inflections and say they don't mess with their own race, run.
But I do that See, me and you're talking opposite sides. So you're talking about women that sexualize you because of your race.
I mean, men too.
No. But I also will never ever, I told myself whenever I got to know a guy, if he said to me, I don't date my own race, if he's Nigerian, he goes, I don't like Nigerian women, I don't find them attractive. To me, I'm not with it.
That's crazy.
Because I'm not dating you or getting to know you because of your race. I'm getting to know you for you. But for you there's a level of self-hate there. Like, yes, your mum, that's your sister, and what kind of narrative are you pushing on them and making them feel? Because if you're rejecting your own people, then they're going to be rejected by someone else who wants to, whether they want to date a white woman, an Asian woman, an Arab woman, whatever. But for you to just automatically rule out your own kind,
your reflection.
That's you.
How you got here.
Literally, you are part of, in your blood, in your movement.
What makes you, all the stuff you describe that makes you cool and stuff you got from that community.
That's it.
So it's wild. Yeah, that's
because with amongst some white people, there's lack of culture, right?
Yeah,
and when you're raised amongst certain environments, so some white people that are raised in London, especially like how urban it is, they've adopted to a lot of different cultures.
It was a culture shock for me because I was like, why are these white boys talking? Like, y'all just don't let them. They're like, no, this is London.
Yeah, like,
it took me a long time
we
to
created,
adjust.
like, part of growing up British is that we create our own culture. Because we're all different generations, third culture kids who come into the UK, and now we're building our own culture of our own different like lingos from different parts of the world. Then you have, you know, Kevin, who's raised amongst us, and he's now one of us, and we all just share the same. Doesn't mean that anyone's going to call anyone the N-word or whatever, but there's limits, but we celebrate each other's and our differences. I think in that sense, if you're raised amongst minorities and you have a bit of flavor for minorities, I get it.
Yeah, I get that, yeah. But even then, and still in that, like, I know, so it's like, it's a thing in like Brooklyn. There's a lot of white women that live in Brooklyn, and they listen to Erykah Badu, and they have incense, and they want to do all this stuff, and they
have incense,
and they be like, oh yeah, my queen, and you be like, bro, like, you're from Wisconsin, dude. Like, let's be real about this.
Let's keep it 100.
But also, it's like, I get that you have been in hip hop for 40 years, and you just want to be a part of something, and like you said, don't have a culture. But I go, you need to find out whatever it is that Norwegians were doing, or Scottish, or Irish, or whatever you are. Tap into your Celtic, whatever tap into that culturally. Embrace that, because it wasn't racist. It was what you were, and then you somehow became they're the only race that became a color. They became color first. White was invented. There's a great link I'll send you. It's called How White People Got Made. And it literally was rich English and whatever was like, we can't let the Scottish and the Irish and all these other people team up with the blacks and the browns. What can we do? Let them know that they're white too, and give them a little crumbs over the other ones. So it's like,
elevate them in the eyes.
There's no more Irish, there's no more this. That's why in America, it's not like Irish pride in this way. It's I'm American, I'm white.
Yeah.
And so why can't I be proud of being white? Because baby, you 4 types of things. You're 4 types of things.
But the thing is, when you said tap in, I never thought I'd defend a Karen or anyone like white. Not in these conversations at least. But I feel like if you're born and raised in a certain environment, you can't force someone to tap into something that they can't identify with.
Fair.
So if you've been born and raised in London and you're originally Scottish or, I don't know, Polish or whatever, and if you can't tap into it because no one's giving you the culture, it's kind of hard because this is all you've known. And if your parents didn't bring down and inherit all these cultural values, then all you're doing is picking up your environment. Your environment's the schools, this environment's is like your jobs, etc., etc. So you're trying to find your way. So like,
it's the same with, it's like, I look at Black Americans, I'm like, you know, we often fight, there's inner fighting in the diaspora with African, West African, and East African as well. And Caribbean people and Black American people, and we all, who's black, what's not black, who's in charge, who's not in charge. And there should not be
it gets messy.
Charge. It gets messy, but I always go like, Black Americans especially, we want to be a part of the bigger thing so bad. Afrocentrism, all these other things, all the movies we make, it's always like trying to get back to Africa in some way. And then a large portion of us don't feel accepted by that. And it's like, but I'm the whole coast mixed, so where do I go? And I always tell Black people, they're like, oh, you know, I don't know, I don't mess with Nigerians. I'm like, you might be Nigerian.
Yeah, bro, chill yourself.
Like, go to Lagos first, and then say you don't mess with Nigerians.
Because it's to an extent, I think, and correct me, I'm sorry to offend you, but I feel like a lot of people who are born and raised in America who never left have their own ignorant views, very strong matter-of-fact views. And it's just like
the white people there. I have heard my Black friends say stuff when I come home. I won't say who, but a young woman told me, I want to come over there and find myself at Idris Elba. And I said, oh, that's cool, man. You're going to have to pick Nigerian or Jamaican. Yeah. And she said, what are you talking about? I was like, well, they're going to probably be first or second generation Nigerian or Jamaican or Ghanaian or, you know, Bayesian or something. And she was like, they're not just black? I'm like, that is black. Yeah. But she was like, but like, I don't want a Nigerian guy or Jamaican guy. I just want a Black British guy. I go, that is what a Black British guy is.
Because we're, to an extent, we're lucky enough to be first, second, third generation, so everyone can trace themselves back. Yeah. But you guys aren't fortunate enough to be able to do that.
And I told her, I said, the Caribbeans are like us. Jamaica is not a country in Africa, right? It's just so I go, when you say that, you're discrediting their Black experience. I said, their sugarcane, we're cotton. They're the only difference in the accent, you know? And so we had that conversation. She she was like, where are you going? I was like, oh, I was in Dakar, Senegal, and I was in Agadir, Morocco. And she's like, oh my God, like, where'd you stay, in a hut? And I was like, oh my God.
Oh, baby girl.
I was like, Dakar, Senegal has some of the best architecture in the world. Like, it make Atlanta look like trash.
Sometimes
like,
you got to choose your battles, though. Some people are just ignorant.
I just sent her some links and pictures.
Yeah.
My way is like, look, this is what it looked like. What?
Yeah, let me leave you some mind-blowing links and leave it. So just quickly, we're running about out of time-ish. Islam, you mentioned. I looked at your most recent post and you actually used one of the quotes, which is Malcolm X quote, which is the hardest test I've ever faced in my life was praying.
Yeah.
Why did you use that quote?
That's I'm doing my best. And I don't mean that as a scapegoat, as like, I might still fuck up, I might still mess up. I mean, I'm literally trying. I wake up every day and I have to actively choose to do the right thing. Anyone who tells me they wake up and they just go about their life doing the right thing, I'm like, no. A conversation with a young lady who was like, oh, I don't eat avocados because they're tearing down the rainforest or whatever it is and it hurting people, as she was doing cocaine. And I said, you think there's fair trade cocaine? Where do you think that comes from? And so I go, you have to actively decide what you're going to do. And for me, my first thing I try to do now is I don't try to hop on the phone. I don't do anything. I make my prayer, right? And it's hard because I believe in God. I believe there's a presence. I believe there's something greater than us. I don't think it's male or female. I wouldn't put a sex label on it. I know language we say he, but that's because of who was in charge, right? I firmly believe that. But I go, it's just sometimes hard for me to rationalize a lot that I've been through, that I've put people through, that I've seen people go through and continue to go through. And I don't understand the plan, the part of letting go and understanding it's a greater purpose and thing than me was easier to do than to kneel down to pray. The ego that I have that I'm trying to lose is the act of being on my knees with my head bowed, serving something greater than myself. And that's the ego of man, I think. Yeah. And just in humans and the man, but in general, it's just like, where do I get off thinking that I shouldn't have to do this and that there should be, because the counter is that somebody should be doing that for me. Yeah. Which is not the case.
Yeah, unfortunately, ego is a big killer. Yeah.
So the hardest thing for me is being a person who went from scamming, pulling a gun on somebody, fighting, doing whatever else, trying to be a player, trying to laugh, trying to make people laugh, do whatever, having everybody kind of praise me to a degree, to then even praise me for my negative stuff is even more so.
Yeah, because some people would, of course.
Even more so. More people would praise me for the bad stuff than the good stuff still. Yeah, and I would, the hardest thing for me is to let that go and to give in to God. Well, I do it. I pray daily. I'm not going to lie and say I pray 5 times.
It's a step.
Oof, I'm trying, but I do. I got a little alarm that tells me every time I'm supposed to do it. I'm like, oh, let me go and get my rug out and do my thing.
Yeah.
I don't have a mosque. I don't go to any mosque. I went to like a couple, but I did not feel welcomed. But I was like,
Unfortunately, racism in Islam's a real thing. But that's a cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing.
And I'm about to release an episode where I spoke to a revert basically about that.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's just like he was basically pretty much told to stand in the back every time he entered a mosque.
Same.
But then there's so many mosques and places of faith where actually your people are there. Yeah. And you'll be able to like feel some sort of family.
It was weird. Like nobody wanted to like touch me like next to me. And I was like, what's going on? And I thought like, oh, am I doing something wrong? Because I'm pretty sure I saw the YouTube video. I'm doing everything right.
You smell of poop.
Yeah. I'm like, come on, man.
Do I smell?
Yeah, like that dude like that.
Yeah, no.
It's my feet.
They're ignorant. They're extremely ignorant, and I think that's it's finding the right mosque. And I don't know. I can do my research for you, but I'm sure there'll be some.
Don't wear your fly shoes to the mosque.
Oh yeah, no, you're gonna get robbed.
They're gone.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they weren't that fly though. But I was like, it
happened once to me where nothing happened, but I was like, I came unexpectedly to go pray somewhere because I just had to find that time.
Yeah.
So I popped over at a mosque and I was like, nah, where are my Yeezys?
Yeah, I was like, And
I was like, it's a risk. So I positioned them somewhere so awkward, hoping that no one will find them.
They still got you.
I'm just like, luckily I got big feet, so the rarity of someone to finding them were good.
I have mosque shoes now that I'm going to
Good.
Just some dirty
just
flips.
a rundown.
Yeah, some rundown hole. You can take them if you want to. I got a second pair.
Someone might even give you new kicks. They're feeling bad for you.
Hope so. Yeah.
That's all good.
Yeah.
What's been your lowest point in life, and what was the turning point?
3 lowest points.
Okay.
You know what's wild? Nobody ever asked me that except my therapist. No friends. No.
Welcome. Listen, I tell people, welcome to your therapy session.
Yeah, nobody ever asked me that. And I don't mind admitting this because I've had lawyers and things. I've already talked about this. My first lowest point, I shot somebody.
Okay.
I shot this. It was a shootout, but I know I shot this kid. And I have never, ever forgiven it or forgotten it. Lowest, threw up, peed like on myself. Like I just, even now, like I feel like I can't make eye contact with you really because I feel embarrassed. It's like bad. And that's the lowest point. And then the second lowest point, a really, really low point was I knew this young woman needed help. And rather than risk my own life, potentially, which it wasn't, I just left her to the wolves. And I saw her later. And she knew I had left her to the wolves, which I didn't know. And the way she looked at me was...
You can't unsee that.
We're friends now. We've talked for years about this was years ago, but the way in which we became friends was a blessing. But she actually helped me out of a situation.
Interesting how the tables
turned. Wild,
yeah.
And then I guess a low point, all in one, is hurting my kid's mom by messing with a lot of other women and having them message her and be like, oh, he's a piece of shit, and he used me, he used her, and he used her, and he used her. And, messaging my friends and talking to, comedy me, all that stuff is like, yeah, they're going to have their side and I have my side. And then somewhere in the middle, I have lawyers and letters and stuff from police to be like, here's what actually happened. Nothing bad, no rape, no physical hurting or grape. I can't say physically hurting or anything like that, but just the using and abuse of their bodies and things like that.
Yeah.
But the way she trusted me to have like her best interest in mind. And then that is like a low, like really like she did nothing. She actually helped me a great deal too. Like she was like, yeah, listen, the lean, the cough syrup and the pills, that's done.
I'm about to pull up some cough syrup today. I'm so glad I didn't.
She was like, that's
I'm like, my throat's
no, like the she was like, that's the wrap
it's
on
done.
that. She helped me out with that, and she popped out of nowhere. That's what really sparked a lot of the controversy. She popped out of nowhere because I would never post women. I posted her, and then shit hit the fan.
Yeah,
because you don't know you're being watched, and so
yeah, some women are MI5s. They're on this.
All
Inspector
the
Gadget,
time.
everything.
Yeah. But that's how you want to spend your time. Hey, more power to you. But
they got time in their hands.
So those points, this violence, ignoring somebody's plea for help, and then hurting someone by not being honest and true.
Have you forgiven yourself?
For any of those 3? No, not yet. Working at that. Working on that with therapy, working on that with God, working on that with the people, working on that with myself. But I have, first and foremost, I have not forgiven myself. I don't know how close I am. I want to. But I can still see their faces.
Have they forgiven you?
The kid's mom did. She did.
And the girl, you speak to her to this day?
She has, for sure. But she's like, you got to stop.
Yeah.
You wasn't involved. You just didn't help. But I said, but that's the same as being involved in my book. She's like, you have to and we were 27 at that time, 26. She was like, you're 37 years old.
Yeah.
I've moved on. I've got therapy. I got this, whatever. But you have to,
I think we've all made poor decisions, different levels, and I think we have to forgive ourselves because you can't blame or you can't hold on to something that you don't even recognize that person anymore. Do you know what I mean? You're a changed human being. Whether you go, look, we all say we've unlearned behaviors and we're a new person. Until we're in that situation again, we don't really know whether we've really truly unlearned something.
That's how I feel.
But from what you do know and the energy you're putting out and what you're trying to be for your own sake and for your daughter's sake, there comes a point where you need to just allow yourself, because you don't recognize that kid that shot another kid. You're no longer that person. It's just about the beauty of growth. And I think a lot of people who've done the maddest things, the fact that you stopped and reflected, and the fact that you're trying to get help for it. I'm not trying to therapy right now, but the reality is part of the next level of growth that you're going to have is allowing yourself to forgive yourself. Otherwise, you're always going to be at a standing point of growth. But
I know you say you're not trying to be therapy, but that's the key. That is the key. And sometimes I don't think therapy has to necessarily come from this professional therapist. I think people can, like yourself, you can say things and be warm and be welcoming and open to people, just with just general, like, who you are and what you want to accomplish in the world yourself. And I think that that's helpful. Like, you know, like somebody could DM you and be like, you know, therapy's for cowards, whatever. And you can literally just be like, if that's how you feel, I'm sorry, blah, 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 instead of attacking them back, right? My first instinct always was to attack back. But yeah, I mean, I have a lot of, honestly, feel guilty and feel bad about things, multiple things, but I'm starting to forgive myself, like the Erykah Badu quote. And, it's just a everyday like thing. Like, I think when I do, I'll probably stop having I sweat and have nightmares. You know what I mean? Like about things that I've like done or seen done and haven't stopped. And so I wake up and I'm like, and it's just, I think a big part of it, like my therapist says, is when you forgive yourself, a lot of this will stop.
You're removing a lot of weight because you're carrying a lot in your chest, even though you're growing and you're evolving and you're hopefully going to become the dad that your daughter deserves and future kids deserve. And to be the friend for everyone. I think until you forgive yourself, you're carrying a lot of negative energy that actually just takes up too much space and stops you from healing further. So, allow yourself. What brings you peace?
You want to say stuff like, "Oh, my daughter brings me peace," whatever.
I mean, she might do momentarily if you want to jab her in the throat.
To a degree, she does. It's not this parenting thing. Is people aren't always honest about it. Like, it's hard, it's hard. But it's beautiful. But every moment is not joyous, and sometimes I just want to go to sleep. But there's so much when I see her. There's just like, whoa.
Islamically, they say your children are the corners of your eyes.
Yeah.
And so should your spouse. Like, when you look at them, no matter how hard life is,
you should.
There's just something in that moment where you're just like, everything's cool.
I think what truly brings joy, maybe it's cliche, is I really, really like helping people. Not making them happy. I don't really care making them laugh so much. I really like to help someone. If I can help a homeless person, because I know what that's like. If I can help a child that's lost, anything, it doesn't have to be extreme, like open the door for somebody. Like, I enjoy making someone's day easier because maybe
you're
because
a man
I've
of
made so
acts
many
of service.
people's days bad. Like, it's not balancing, but I never liked making someone's day bad, but I've always enjoyed making someone's day. Yeah, I like being in service to people.
So I think you just touched on that. I interrupted you, sorry. So is that because of, to an extent, the guilt that you carry, that you feel like you have to constantly compensate? I
think partially, but I've always liked that even as a kid. Even before I was like, whatever, even as a child, I always enjoyed like helping.
I'll open the door, but I'll punch you in the throat as well. Balance.
Yeah. So I'm trying to just balance it one way. But that, and the thing that honestly that really brings me joy, and this is crazy, food.
Yeah.
But it's not like food, like I'm happy that it's so weird that I'm about to eat or whatever. It's like seeing the food being made. For whatever reason, I'm just like, oh yeah, I can't wait to. And then I eat it, I'm like, yeah, that was fine. But like when I see it being cooked, I'm like, ooh.
Can I ask, do you talk to your food? Because I talk to my food
all the time.
Like, people don't understand. I'm like, literally.
Yeah, I'm like, I love you. You know what's gonna happen to you?
Literally, I did an intro.
Yeah, oh my God. Season, you want a little extra salt? I know you want some salt.
Literally, I'm just like, you look amazing. It's about to go down. I love you and I appreciate you. People don't understand.
I'm blowing kisses to my.
Yes, I respect that. See, real recognize the real. All right, what's the last? What's the best advice or wisdom that was given to you?
So, the thing my grandfather told me about someone calling you a name is not a trigger for you. Relax and move on with your day. Are you still walking? Are you able to continue to move on with your day? Which goes in part with RuPaul, who said, if the worst thing that happened to you is that someone called your name, if that hurts you that someone called your name, then your life is going to be very hard. You got to get thicker skin, especially if you're different. So that is a life lesson, because I don't like people talking to me any kind of way, but that helped me a great deal. And just to be the best advice someone gave to me is be honest, no matter how much it hurts somebody, no matter how much you don't want what follows the honesty. Just be honest. And I've been doing my best to do that, but that is something that advice has helped me a lot. And to always, when something happens, try to immediately see where that's coming from.
Yeah.
So forgive, but what Kanye West is like, I don't agree with anything he said, obviously, but I go, to me, that's a person who needs help.
Precisely. Yeah.
Right. If this was a homeless person or a person standing out in the streets in Speaker's Corner Square saying these things, you go, that person's crazy, and you'd walk away.
Yeah.
But
let's deep where that comes from.
Yeah. My first instinct with him is, I'm like, man, I wish I was his friend, not to get money or anything, to hug him and smack his phone out of his hand. Like, brother, sit down, have a plate, eat your chicken, shut up.
Chill the hell down.
Chill out. Let's watch this. We're gonna watch the Mariah Carey videos, and I love watching music videos, like old music videos. Watch these Whitney Houston videos. Relax, bro. We're gonna relax. No, you can't talk to nobody.
Wasn't Eddie Murphy's like, have a Coke and a smile?
Honestly, seriously, like that. Like, I feel bad because he doesn't have, like, people in a lot of these positions in different. They don't have friends. They don't have people just be like,
to keep them in check and humble them.
Luckily, I have some of those.
Yeah, I think it's important to have that support around you.
Because where I would be without those, like my boy who found me out in the street, I would be on the street without that person. You know what I mean? So luckily I have that type of thing.
One last thing, and we got to go. What's the one thing that you've managed to unlearn to break that inherited cycle of your parents? By the way, you're coming on for a number 2. Because we've got so much more to talk about.
I'm down. Not to. Well, the thing I've learned that I've unlearned and stopped is a lot of the definitely criminal behavior. Some stuff I didn't consider criminal, but even if it's not legally prosecutable, it still could be considered criminal. And I had to unlearn a lot of these behaviors of how to like try to cheat and scam and navigate like different systems and things like that, and just do the work. So I had to unlearn the cheap way, the snake way around doing things, and just to do the actual work. And I gotta say, it has paid off. Within like a year and a half of me recently now doing, I mean, there's been periods where I've done that, but my career and things have gone to levels that it wouldn't have been, regardless of cancellation or whatever else. Like I'm writing and I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm getting money to do it, and I'm okay. Like, and things are gonna get better, and there's opportunities that are coming. It's
trusting the process and humbling yourself. The process,
yeah. So I had to learn to do the work and not to blame others.
Yeah. I get it now, listening to your story, and also the fact that you kind of need this instant result thing. That must be a very difficult constant coaching, because like for you to progress in your writing and everything, it's like pacing yourself for that moment to unlock another level and knowing that even though you can make dough a lot faster, much faster.
Oh my God.
It's just knowing, like, I guess faith and reality is just humbling you.
Yeah, I had to pop out of that.
I respect it and I appreciate your journey.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm on it.
That's good.
When I'm back, when you want me back, this is nice. I'm gonna come up in here. I'm gonna just hang out here.
Yeah, you can chill here after I go.
No, I mean just in general. I'm gonna just come here when you're here and just like listen
just come
to
through,
your
man.
guests and make
it's
make
just
jokes
other sessions of therapy. You could be my heckler in the background.
I'll do it. Boo!
You can finally be on the other side.
I totally do it. 100%.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I absolutely appreciate
you. Yeah. When you come to a show.
When you invite me.
Okay, I'll tell you. There's a couple coming up. I'll tell you to come to.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay.
For those who don't know your socials, can you please let them know?
House of Nubian. Everywhere. House of
Wow,
Nubian.
you fully changed.
You know why? First of all, Nubian is like, you're gonna black people, especially American, like Nubian king. But everybody's got like house of this and house of that. Like white people got all their houses.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we ain't got no House of Nubian. I'll do House of Nubian until the username that I want Instagram is actively trying to acquire for me, which is just my Arabic name. So they're working on it. But
wait, how do you do that?
I had my lawyer write them.
Okay, can I borrow your lawyer? So you're free?
I was just like, yeah.
Because your lawyer's involved all the time.
Yeah. Listen, as soon as one white lady said something bad about me, I went to the police myself and was like, should I do this? And they laughed at me, and they were like, you're fine. Stop being an asshole. And I got a lawyer in general. And then from then on, I was like, oh, your lawyers help. Like anything, like I go to my lawyer's like, stop calling me. You don't need to call me.
You don't need a lawyer for this.
Just say what you want to say. You're an artist. You can say whatever you say. You rip the guy's head off. Unless they can prove it.
Yeah, I think also in the UK it's different.
Yeah. Well, he's a US lawyer, but yeah.
Yeah. But thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you for having me.
And we'll definitely be back for part 2.
I'm taking my orange with me. I'll take
my
one.
days. Please do. Guys, you have been listening and watching Growing Up British. Myself, Mama Hebz. You can catch me on Instagram on I am Hebz with a Z. All grownupbritish.h and on YouTube, Mama Hebz. Thank you so much, and we'll see y'all next week.
Wait, I won't see them next week.
No, you won't. Sorry, you're not invited. Grownish, smartish, British.
We are British, apparently.